Please, Angela, choose me.
No, I need time to think.
The boardroom door slammed open so hard it cracked against the wall, and Angela Morrison barely had time to look up from her laptop before 3 identical men in matching black suits surrounded her table like predators circling prey. Her coffee cup trembled in her hand, not from fear, but from the sheer intensity of 6 dark eyes locked on her face with an hunger that had nothing to do with business and everything to do with desperation. Miss Morrison, the one in the center, spoke first, his voice smooth as aged whiskey. I'm Kim Taemin, CEO of Kim Holdings. We need to talk about your future with this company. I'm Kim Jiho, the one on her left cut in, shouldering slightly forward. Chief Creative Officer. And what my brother means is, I need to talk to you about a partnership opportunity. Kim Hyun, Chief Operations Officer, the third one said from her right, his tone colder, more controlled. And what both my brothers are failing to mention is that I'm the one offering you the most lucrative deal. Angela sat down with a deliberate calmness, even though her heart was racing against her ribs. She'd been in Los Angeles for exactly 4 hours, sitting in this Beverly Hills hotel trying to enjoy her overpriced latte and answer emails, and somehow these 3 Korean men who looked like they'd stepped out of a high-fashion magazine had found her. More unsettling was the fact that they were identical triplets, and she could feel the hostility radiating between them like heat waves off asphalt. Gentlemen, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos of the moment. I don't know how you found me, but I already told your company I'm not interested in a full-time position. I completed the freelance project. The campaign is performing well. We're done. Done. Taemin laughed, but there was no humor in it. He pulled out a chair and sat down without invitation, leaning forward into her space. Miss Morrison, your copy didn't just perform well. It saved our European division from bankruptcy. 15 million in sales in 3 weeks. Our board is calling it a miracle. It wasn't a miracle, Angela corrected, annoyance creeping into her tone. It was research, strategy, and understanding your target demographic better than your previous marketing team did. That's called doing my job. Which is exactly why we need you permanently, Jiho interjected, sitting down on her other side. She was effectively boxed in now, and she didn't like it. Angela, may I call you Angela? The European campaign was just the beginning. Imagine what we could accomplish together long-term. I'm talking creative director position, full benefits, salary negotiable into 7 figures. 8 figures, Taemin interrupted sharply, shooting his brother a glare that could melt steel. I'm offering 8 figures annually, plus equity, plus a penthouse in Busan and another in Los Angeles. Whatever you want, name it. 9 figures over 5 years, Hyun said quietly, and both his brothers whipped around to stare at him. Plus complete creative control over all marketing initiatives, a seat on the board, and a personal assistant staff of your choosing. Angela's head was spinning. Wait. Hold on. Are you 3 seriously bidding against each other right now? In a hotel cafe? For a copywriter? You're not just a copywriter, Taemin said intensely, his hand moving closer to hers on the table, but not quite touching. You're the answer to everything we've been fighting for. Our father died a year ago, Jiho added, his voice suddenly raw with emotion that seemed genuine. He left the company to all 3 of us, but with a condition. The son who restores Kim Holdings to its former glory, who makes it dominant in the Asian luxury market again, inherits controlling interest. Everything. The company, the properties, the legacy. And you wrote the copy that proves you understand luxury branding better than anyone we've interviewed, Hyun finished, his cold exterior cracking just slightly. In 3 weeks, you accomplished what our entire marketing department couldn't do in a year. You're not just valuable, Miss Morrison. You're essential. Angela sat back in her chair, processing. So let me get this straight. Your father died, left you 3 some kind of corporate Hunger Games situation, and now you're all trying to recruit me because one campaign went viral. It wasn't just viral. Taemin leaned even closer, and Angela caught the scent of expensive cologne mixed with something darker, more dangerous. It was perfect. Every word, every phrase, every call to action. You made luxury feel accessible while maintaining exclusivity. You made our brand feel aspirational without being pretentious. You did in 3 weeks what our 7-figure consultants couldn't do in 3 years. And whichever one of us partners with you, Jiho said, his voice dropping lower, wins everything. The company, the inheritance, the future of Kim Holdings. That's absolutely insane, Angela said flatly. But her mind was already racing. 9 figures over 5 years. Creative control. Board seat. She could pay off her mother's medical bills, buy her sister's dream house, fund her own agency eventually. The offer was life-changing. But something about this situation felt wrong. Dangerous even. Is it insane? Hyun asked, studying her face with unsettling intensity. Or is it the opportunity of a lifetime? You're a freelance copywriter in Los Angeles. Talented, yes, but competing with thousands of others for scraps. We're offering you an empire. You're offering me a position in a war zone, Angela corrected. You 3 can barely stand to be in the same room. I can feel the hostility. And you want me to choose one of you and what? Become your secret weapon against your own brothers. Yes, all 3 said simultaneously, then immediately glared at each other. Angela almost laughed, but the situation was too surreal. You realize how crazy this sounds? I wrote some ad copy. That's it. I'm not some business savant or marketing messiah. I'm a writer who did her research and got lucky with timing. Luck. Taemin's jaw tightened. Miss Morrison, don't diminish your talent. I've seen your entire portfolio. The campaign you created for that failing cosmetics brand that's now selling in Sephora. The rebranding you did for the struggling restaurant chain that now has a 6-month waiting list. You don't get lucky 3 times. You're brilliant, and you know it. And you're wasting that brilliance on freelance projects that pay pennies compared to what you're worth, Jiho added. His hand did touch hers now, just briefly, and Angela felt an electric current run up her arm that she absolutely did not want to acknowledge. Partner with me, Angela. Not just for the money, but because together we could create campaigns that change the industry. Partner with me, Hyun countered, his voice still controlled, but with an edge of urgency, and I'll give you resources beyond imagination. Want to shoot a commercial in Paris? Done. Need to hire the best creative team in the world? I'll make it happen. With me, there are no limits. With me, there's vision, Taemin insisted. I understand the big picture. I see where luxury branding is going in the next decade. Together, we'd be unstoppable. Angela looked between the 3 of them, these identical men with their identical faces and wildly different energies. Taemin radiated confidence bordering on arrogance. Jiho seemed passionate, almost desperately so. Hyun was calculating, cold, but underneath she sensed something volcanic waiting to erupt. I need to think about this, she said finally, standing up. All 3 immediately stood with her, like some synchronized dance they hadn't meant to perform. This is a huge decision, and I'm not making it in a hotel cafe with 3 men I just met. Of course, Taemin said smoothly, pulling out a business card. Take all the time you need. But Angela? The offer expires in 72 hours. After that, we move on to other candidates. There are no other candidates, Jiho said bluntly, shooting his brother another glare. You're it. You're the one we need. Which is why you should choose carefully, Hyun added, pressing his own card into her hand. Not all of us are telling you the whole truth, Miss Morrison. Some of us have ulterior motives. Unlike you, who's completely transparent? Jiho shot back. More transparent than Taemin, who's probably already planning how to manipulate you into. Gentlemen. Angela's voice cut through their building argument. I said I need to think. That means alone. Without you 3 turning my hotel into a war zone. She grabbed her laptop and coffee and walked away from the table with as much dignity as she could muster. Behind her, she could hear them still arguing in rapid Korean, voices rising. She didn't speak Korean, but she didn't need to. The tension was universal. What the hell had she just walked into? Okay, beautiful people, pause right here. I need you to drop a comment right now telling me which brother you're rooting for already. Taemin with his smooth confidence? Jiho with his passionate creativity? Or Hyun with his cold calculation and hidden fire? Hit that subscribe button because this rivalry is about to get explosive and, trust me, you don't want to miss what happens when Angela makes her choice. Now let's rewind and see how this whole situation started and why these 3 brothers haven't spoken to each other in a year except to destroy each other in business meetings. 3 months earlier, the Kim triplets had stood in their father's lawyer's office in Incheon, listening to a will that would destroy their brotherhood forever. Attorney Park Sung-ho had looked uncomfortable as he read the terms, his hands trembling slightly on the expensive paper that contained Kim Dae-jung's final wishes. To my 3 sons, Kim Tae-min, Kim Ji-ho, and Kim Hyun, the lawyer read in a steady voice that betrayed none of his personal feelings, I leave Kim Holdings, the company I built from nothing into a luxury empire worth $3 billion. However, I leave it with conditions that will determine which of you truly deserves to carry on my legacy. Taemin had leaned forward in his chair, jaw tight. Jiho's hands had clenched into fists. Hyun had remained perfectly still, but his eyes had gone cold as winter in Seoul. You will each take on equal leadership roles in the company. Taemin as CEO, Jiho as Chief Creative Officer, Hyun as Chief Operations Officer. You will have 1 year to prove yourselves. The son who successfully restores Kim Holdings to its former glory, who elevates our brand to dominance in the Asian luxury market, who shows the vision and capability to lead this company into the future, that son will inherit controlling interest. 51%. The other 2 will retain their positions, but will serve under their brother's ultimate authority. This is insane, Jiho had burst out. Father is making us compete against each other? We're brothers. We're supposed to work together, not. There's more, the lawyer interrupted gently. Your father also included a personal note. He cleared his throat and continued reading. My sons, you are brilliant individually, but you have never learned to stand on your own. You have always relied on each other, always shared the burden, always been 3 instead of 1. This company needs a single strong leader, not a committee. I am forcing you to discover which of you has what it takes. I am forcing you to become men instead of boys hiding behind each other. You will hate me for this. I accept that. But one day, when the winner stands at the helm of an empire, you will understand why I did what I did. Prove yourselves. Fight for what you want. And may the best son win. The silence that followed had been deafening. Then Taemin had stood up, buttoned his suit jacket, and walked out without a word. Hyun had followed 30 seconds later. Jiho had remained, staring at the desk where his father's will lay like a grenade with the pin pulled. He's destroying us, Jiho had whispered. He's destroying everything we built together. Perhaps, Attorney Park had said quietly, he believed you were stronger than you thought. That you could survive this test. Or perhaps he was a cruel old man who valued business over his own sons. Jiho had replied bitterly, and then he too had left. That had been 1 year, 2 months, and 17 days ago. In that time, the 3 brothers had moved into separate penthouses across Busan. They communicated only through assistants and lawyers. Board meetings became battlegrounds where they criticized each other's decisions with surgical precision. The company that had once thrived under their collaborative leadership began to fracture under the weight of their competition. The European division had started hemorrhaging money 6 months in. Their brand, which had once represented cutting-edge luxury, began to feel dated. Younger consumers were choosing competitors. Market share dropped 17%. The board started making noise about bringing in outside leadership. Taemin had tried aggressive expansion, opening new stores in markets they hadn't researched properly. It failed spectacularly, costing them $8 million in the first quarter alone. Jiho had pushed for radical rebranding that alienated their core customer base, while failing to attract the younger demographic he'd promised. Hyun had cut costs so aggressively that product quality suffered, leading to the first negative reviews Kim Holdings had received in 15 years. They were destroying their father's legacy while fighting to inherit it. The irony wasn't lost on any of them. Then, 3 months ago, Taemin had been scrolling through freelance portfolios at 3 a.m, desperate to find someone, anyone, who could create a campaign that would save the European division. He'd been through 47 portfolios when he found Angela Morrison's page. Her work was extraordinary. She'd taken a failing cosmetics brand and turned it into a cult favorite with 6 months of strategic copy. She'd rebranded a dying restaurant chain into a destination with waiting lists that stretched months. She'd created viral campaigns for tech startups that had venture capitalists throwing money at companies that had been on the verge of bankruptcy. But more than that, her words had soul. They weren't just selling products, they were selling feelings, experiences, transformations. Tameen had read her portfolio pieces 3 times, then hired her immediately without consulting his brothers. 3 weeks he'd given her. 3 weeks to create a campaign that would save their European division. Angela had delivered in 2. The campaign she created was called Luxury is Personal. Instead of focusing on exclusivity and status, she'd repositioned Kim Holdings as a brand that understood individual expression within the luxury space. Her copy was intimate, aspirational without being pretentious, sophisticated without being cold. She'd identified that their European customers weren't just buying products, they were buying into a lifestyle philosophy. Luxury isn't about what everyone else can have, one of her headlines read. It's about what perfectly expresses who you are. The campaign had gone viral within 48 hours. Sales had exploded. The European division went from dying to thriving in 3 weeks. Fashion blogs called it revolutionary. Marketing journals wrote case studies. And the Kim brothers each realized simultaneously that Angela Morrison wasn't just a talented copywriter. She was the key to winning everything. Tameen had tried to hire her first, offering a ridiculous salary and full-time position. Angela had politely declined, saying she preferred freelance work and the freedom it provided. Jiho had reached out next, suggesting a creative partnership where they'd collaborate on future campaigns. Angela had stopped responding to his emails after the 3rd one. Hyun had taken a different approach, having his assistant send a formal invitation to tour their Busan headquarters with all expenses paid. Angela had blocked the assistant's number. The brothers had each realized that the direct approach wasn't working. Angela Morrison had no interest in being recruited by 3 desperate billionaires fighting over their dead father's company. So they'd done what any rational men would do in their situation. They'd had her investigated. What they'd discovered made them want her even more. Angela Morrison, 32 years old, lived in a modest apartment in Los Angeles. She'd grown up in Atlanta, the daughter of a single mother who'd worked 3 jobs to put her through college. She'd graduated top of her class from Emory University with a degree in marketing and English literature. She'd worked at major advertising agencies in New York for 5 years before going freelance, citing corporate politics and creative restrictions as her reasons for leaving. She had no husband, no boyfriend, no obvious romantic attachments. She sent money home to her mother every month. She volunteered at a literacy center in South Central Los Angeles. She drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic despite being able to afford much better. She lived simply, worked obsessively, and had a reputation in the industry for being brilliant but difficult. She turned down more jobs than she accepted. She demanded creative control and walked away from projects if clients interfered too much. She was also, according to their private investigator, currently in Los Angeles for a marketing conference. Which is how all 3 brothers ended up on flights to LAX within hours of each other, none of them knowing the others had the same plan, each determined to convince Angela Morrison to choose him. The hotel cafe confrontation had been pure accident. Tameen had tracked her down first, using connections and money to find out which hotel she was staying at. Jiho had done the same, arriving 30 minutes later. Hyun had been the last to appear, walking into the cafe to find both his brothers already cornering the one woman who could give them everything they wanted. Now, as Angela Morrison walked away from their table, her laptop tucked under her arm and her head held high, all 3 brothers stood frozen, watching her disappear into the hotel lobby. "She's going to choose me," Tameen said quietly, his eyes still tracking her movement. "She's going to choose the right partner," Jiho corrected. "Which means me." "She's going to choose whoever offers her the most control," Hyun said. "Which means none of us, unless we change our approach." "What approach?" Tameen turned to face his brothers fully for the first time in months. "We all want the same thing. Her partnership. The company. Father's legacy." "Then may the best man win," Jiho said coldly. "I intend to," Hyun replied. They stood there in the cafe, 3 identical men with identical ambitions and identical desperation, and for the first time in over a year, they were united in a single purpose. They all wanted Angela Morrison. And they would do whatever it took to get her. Whatever it took. Hold up, besties. Let me ask you something real quick. Do you think Angela should choose any of them? Or should she walk away from this mess entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because what happens next is going to make you question everything. These brothers are about to pull out strategies that are manipulative, desperate, and honestly kind of genius. Subscribe now because you need to see how far they're willing to go. Angela Morrison sat in her hotel room staring at 3 business cards spread across the desk like tarot cards predicting a future she wasn't sure she wanted. Kim Taemin, Kim Jiho, Kim Hyun. 3 names, 3 identical faces, 3 wildly different offers that all felt like traps disguised as opportunities. Her phone buzzed, then buzzed again, and again. She picked it up to find her email inbox exploding with messages. All from Kim Holdings. All marked urgent. The first was from Taemin's office. Miss Morrison, I apologize for the ambush in the cafe. I'd like to make it up to you with dinner tonight at Spago Beverly Hills. 8 p.m. A car will pick you up. We can discuss the partnership properly, professionally. No pressure. Just conversation. KT. The second was from Jiho's personal email. Angela, I know my brother already invited you to dinner. Don't go. He'll try to buy you with expensive wine and empty promises. Meet me instead. The Getty Center at sunset. I want to show you something that will change how you see this opportunity. Please. Give me 1 hour. KJ. The third was from Hyun's assistant, but clearly written by him. Miss Morrison, while my brothers scramble to romance you with dinners and sunsets, I'm offering something more valuable. Truth. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., Kim Holdings, Los Angeles office. I'll show you the company financials, the real numbers they're hiding from you, the actual state of the war you're being asked to enter. Knowledge is power. Come get yours. KH. Angela dropped her phone on the bed and laughed, but there was no humor in it. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Another buzz. A text this time from an unknown number. Miss Morrison, this is James Park, attorney for the late Kim Dae-jung. I represent the Kim family estate. I need to speak with you urgently about a matter that concerns your potential involvement with Kim Holdings. There are things you need to know before you make any decisions. Things the brothers aren't telling you. Please call me at your earliest convenience. Angela's stomach dropped. A lawyer? What could a lawyer possibly need to tell her? She was just a copywriter who'd done one successful campaign. Why was everyone treating her like she was some kind of corporate savior? She picked up her phone and dialed her best friend, Marcus, who answered on the second ring. Please tell me you're calling to say you're on your way home from that boring marketing conference and we can finally get drinks. Marcus, I need advice. Like, serious advice. His tone immediately shifted. What happened? Are you okay? Do I need to fly to LA? I'm fine. I'm just... Angela paused, trying to figure out how to explain the situation without sounding completely unhinged. Do you remember that Korean luxury brand campaign I did last month? The one that went viral. The one that made you 50 grand for 3 weeks of work? Yeah, I remember. I also remember you turning down their full-time offer because you said something felt off about the company. Right. Well, something definitely felt off. Turns out the company is owned by triplets who are in a competition to inherit their dead father's empire, and apparently I'm the key to whoever wins. Silence. Then, I'm sorry, what? Angela spent the next 10 minutes explaining everything. The cafe ambush, the bidding war, the offers that were getting more ridiculous by the hour, the lawyer's cryptic text message. When she finished, Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Angela, baby, you need to get on a plane right now and come home. That's what my gut is telling me. But Marcus knew her too well. But 9 figures, Marcus. 9 figures over 5 years. That's generational wealth. That's my mom never having to worry about money again. That's my sister getting her kids through college without loans. That's me finally having the resources to start my own agency the way I've always dreamed. It's also walking into a war zone between 3 billionaires who clearly have issues. Angela, you're brilliant, but you're not a corporate strategist. You write copy. Beautiful, effective copy. But this is Game of Thrones level family drama, and you're about to become the prize. Or the weapon, Angela said quietly. That's what I can't figure out. Do they want me as a partner or as ammunition? Does it matter? Either way, you're in the middle of their fight. Angela looked at the business cards again. Taemin's was embossed with gold lettering, expensive and bold. Jiho's was minimalist, artistic, printed on textured paper that felt like canvas. Hyun's was stark white with black lettering, clean and controlled. Even their business cards were competing. What if I could use this? She said slowly, an idea forming. What if I could play them against each other, get what I want, and walk away clean? That's a dangerous game. Everything about this is dangerous. But Marcus, when am I going to get another opportunity like this? I'm 32 years old, living in a one-bedroom apartment, taking whatever freelance work I can get. I'm good at what I do, but good isn't enough in this industry. You need connections, resources, opportunities. This is all three handed to me on a silver platter. A silver platter covered in blood from their family drama, Marcus countered. But I hear you. I hear you, and I know that tone in your voice. You've already decided, haven't you? Angela looked at her reflection in the hotel mirror. Dark skin glowing under the warm lighting, natural hair pulled back in a bun, wearing a simple black dress she'd bought at Target 3 years ago. She looked exactly like what she was, a regular woman who'd worked hard for everything she had. But she could be more. With the right partnership, the right resources, she could be unstoppable. I'm going to meet with all three of them, she said finally. Separately. I'm going to hear them out, figure out what each one is really offering, and make my decision based on who gives me the most power. Power, not money? Money is great, but power is better. I want creative control, decision-making authority, the ability to build something that's mine. Whoever gives me that wins. And if none of them do? Then I walk away and we never speak of this again. Marcus sighed. Okay, but promise me you'll be careful. These men are billionaires fighting over their father's legacy. They didn't get where they are by playing nice. Neither did I, Angela said, and surprised herself with the steel in her own voice. I grew up watching my mother work herself to exhaustion. I fought my way through college while working 2 jobs. I clawed my way up in agencies that tried to pigeonhole me because of my race and gender. I'm not some naive girl who's going to be manipulated by 3 pretty faces with fat bank accounts. 3 identical pretty faces, Marcus corrected with a laugh. Girl, how are you even going to tell them apart? Taemin wears his watch on his left wrist. Jiho has a tiny scar above his right eyebrow. Hyun's suits are always perfectly tailored, no wrinkles ever. I noticed in the cafe. You noticed a lot in the cafe. I notice everything. That's why I'm good at my job. Angela picked up Jiho's business card. I'm going to the Getty Center tonight. Jiho said he wants to show me something that will change my perspective. Please tell me you're not going alone to meet a stranger at sunset. He's not a stranger. He's a potential business partner. And I'll text you the address, keep my location shared on my phone, and call you the second I leave. Happy? Thrilled, Marcus said sarcastically. Just remember, Angela. These men are used to getting what they want. They've probably never heard the word no in their entire privileged lives. Don't let them bully you into anything. Trust me, Angela said, looking at her reflection again and seeing something harder, more determined than before. If anyone's going to do the bullying in this situation, it's going to be me. She hung up and immediately texted Jiho. Getty Center. 7 p.m. 1 hour. And you're going to answer every question I have honestly, or I'm walking away and choosing one of your brothers. Understood. His response came back in 30 seconds. Understood. Thank you for the chance. You won't regret this. Jay. Angela wasn't sure about that. But she knew one thing for certain. She was tired of playing small. Tired of watching other people build empires while she scraped by on freelance projects. Tired of being brilliant but broke, talented but overlooked, capable but limited by resources. If these 3 brothers wanted to fight over her, fine. Let them fight. And when the dust settled, she'd make sure she was the one left standing with everything she'd ever wanted. She opened her laptop and started a new document, Kim Holdings Partnership, Terms and Conditions. If she was going to play this game, she was going to play it smart. And she was going to win. Besties, please pause. Do you think Angela is making a smart move or walking into a trap? Drop a comment and tell me if your team, take the money and run, or team, play the game and win everything. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button because Angela's about to meet Jiho at sunset, and what he shows her is going to completely change the game. The Getty Center at sunset was breathtaking. Angela stood on the terrace overlooking Los Angeles as the sky turned shades of orange and pink and gold, the city sprawling below like a kingdom of lights waiting to be conquered. Jiho stood beside her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something subtle and expensive that probably cost more than her monthly rent. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said quietly, his eyes on the horizon. "Los Angeles always looks like a dream from up here. Like anything is possible." "You didn't bring me here to admire the view," Angela said, keeping her voice neutral. "You said you had something to show me. Something that would change my perspective." Jiho smiled, and for the first time, Angela saw something genuine in his expression. Not the desperation from the cafe, not the polished corporate mask, but something real and raw and almost vulnerable. "You're right. I didn't." He pulled out his phone and opened a photo album. "I brought you here to show you what Kim Holdings used to be. What it could be again with the right vision." He handed her the phone, and Angela scrolled through images. Fashion shows in Paris, their models wearing designs that took her breath away. Store openings in Tokyo and Hong Kong, crowds lined up around the block. Magazine covers featuring Kim Holdings as the future of luxury. Editorial pieces praising their innovation, their elegance, their perfect balance of tradition and modernity. "This was 7 years ago," Jiho said, his voice tight with emotion. "When my father was still healthy, still leading the company. When my brothers and I worked together instead of against each other. We were unstoppable, Angela. We understood each other's strengths, covered each other's weaknesses. Taemin handled the business strategy. I managed the creative vision. Hyun kept operations running smoothly. We were a perfect team." "What happened?" Angela asked, even though she already knew the answer. "Father got sick. Pancreatic cancer. He had 2 years to prepare for death, 2 years to make arrangements, and he spent that time creating a competition that would destroy us." Jiho's joy tightened. He didn't believe in collaboration. He believed in individual strength, in survival of the fittest, in one strong leader ruling over all. So he designed his will to force us to prove which of us deserved his empire. "And you all went along with it," Angela observed. "You could have refused. Could have split the company 3 ways equally and maintained your partnership." "The will didn't allow for that," Jiho said bitterly. "The legal terms were explicit. If we didn't compete, the company would be sold off piece by piece to outside buyers. Father made sure we had no choice. Fight each other or lose everything he built." Angela handed back the phone. "So you chose to fight." "We chose to survive," Jiho corrected. "But in the process, we're destroying the very thing we're fighting for. Don't you see, Angela? The company is dying. Not from lack of talent or resources or market opportunity. It's dying because 3 people who used to create magic together are now using their gifts to tear each other apart. And you think I can fix that?" Angela laughed, but it was hollow. "I'm one copywriter, Jiho. I'm not a miracle worker." "You already performed one miracle," Jiho said, turning to face her fully. The setting sun cast shadows across his face, making him look both beautiful and haunted. "That European campaign didn't just boost sales, Angela. It reminded all 3 of us what we're capable of when someone brings vision and clarity to our chaos. Your words unified our fractured brand in a way none of us could manage in a year of trying." "Because I'm an outsider," Angela said, understanding clicking into place. "I'm not invested in your family drama. I just saw a luxury brand that had lost its identity and gave it back." "Exactly," Jiho stepped closer, his intensity almost overwhelming. "And that's what I'm offering you, Angela. Not just a job or a partnership. A chance to be the catalyst that heals this family while building something extraordinary. Work with me. Let me give you the creative freedom you've never had in those corporate agencies. Let me provide the resources to execute your wildest ideas. Together, we could restore Kim Holdings and prove to my brothers that collaboration is stronger than competition." Angela wanted to believe him. The passion in his voice was intoxicating, and the vision he painted was seductive. But Marcus's warning echoed in her mind. These men are used to getting what they want. "What's really in this for you, Jiho?" she asked bluntly. "Besides winning your father's inheritance, what do you personally get out of partnering with me?" Jiho was quiet for a long moment, his eyes searching her face. "Honestly? Redemption. The chance to prove I'm not just the artistic brother who's good with concepts, but bad with execution. The chance to show Taemin that vision matters as much as strategy, and to show Hyun that heart matters as much as efficiency. And maybe..." He paused, something vulnerable flickering across his expression. Maybe the chance to rebuild what my father destroyed. Not just the company, but my relationship with my brothers. By beating them in his competition? Angela's voice was skeptical. You realize the contradiction there, right? I know, Jiho said softly. I know it's impossible. But what if it wasn't? What if the way to win was to refuse to play his game? What if you and I created something so successful, so undeniably brilliant, that it forced my brothers to see they've been fighting the wrong battle? That's naive, Angela said, but her heart was starting to beat faster. Because buried in Jiho's impossible idealism was a seed of something that called to her own buried dreams. The part of her that had left corporate agencies because she was tired of politics. The part that wanted to create work that mattered, not just work that sold. Maybe, Jiho agreed. But you're here, aren't you? Standing on this terrace, listening to me, when you could have ignored all three of us and gone back to your safe freelance life. That tells me you're not afraid of impossible things either. He wasn't wrong. Angela had taken risks her whole life. College when people said she couldn't afford it. New York when people said she wouldn't survive. Freelance when people said she needed the security of a corporate job. Every major decision in her life had been people calling her naive and her proving them wrong. If I partnered with you, she said carefully, what would that actually look like? Specifics, Jiho. Not vague promises about creative freedom. Jiho pulled out a tablet from his bag and opened a document. I had my legal team draft a contract proposal. Full creative director position, 8-figure annual salary, equity package that gives you 1% of the company after 5 years, 3% after 10. Complete autonomy over all marketing and branding initiatives with final approval on everything. A team of 20 reporting directly to you. Offices in Busan and Los Angeles. Your choice where you work from. And this. He scrolled to a specific clause. A guarantee that if I win controlling interest of Kim Holdings, you become chief creative officer with a board seat and veto power over any decision that affects brand identity. Angela read the document twice, her mind racing. This is the most generous offer I've ever seen. Because you're worth it, Jiho said simply. And because I need you to understand I'm serious. This isn't just about using your talent to win a competition, Angela. This is about building a real partnership with someone who understands brand soul the way I understand design aesthetics. We'd be unstoppable. And if you don't win? Angela asked. If Taemin or Hyun ends up with controlling interest, what happens to me then? Jiho's expression hardened. The contract includes a golden parachute clause. If I don't win, you receive 5 years of salary as severance, keep your equity, and get full rights to any campaigns or content you created. You'd be protected no matter what happens. It was almost too good to be true. Which meant it probably was. I need to think about this, Angela said. And I need to hear what your brothers are offering before I make any decision. Something flickered in Jiho's eyes. Disappointment? Frustration? It passed quickly, replaced by understanding. Of course. I expected that. But Angela. He reached out and touched her hand gently, and she felt that electric current again. Be careful with Taemin. He's charming, but he's also ruthless. He'll tell you whatever you want to hear to get what he wants. And Hyun. Hyun plays a different game entirely. He collects information like weapons and uses them when you least expect it. And what do? Angela challenged. Jiho smiled sadly. I hope. I believe. I create. And usually, I get crushed by brothers who understand that business is war and I'm too idealistic to fight dirty. Then why are you still fighting? Because someone has to remember what we're supposed to be fighting for, Jiho said quietly. Someone has to believe that at the end of all this destruction, something beautiful can still survive. Angela looked at him, this passionate, idealistic man who was either the most genuine of the three brothers or the best actor. She honestly couldn't tell which. I'll read the contract, she said finally. And I'll let you know my decision after I meet with Taemin and Hyun. That's all I can ask, Jiho said. But his hand was still on hers, warm and surprisingly gentle. Thank you for listening, Angela. Thank you for seeing me as more than just another rich man trying to buy your talent. I haven't decided you're not that yet, Angela said, pulling her hand away. But she softened the words with a small smile. But I'm willing to consider the possibility. She walked away from the terrace as the sun finally disappeared below the horizon, leaving Los Angeles bathed in twilight. Behind her, Jiho stood alone, watching her go, and something in his expression looked like a man who'd just gambled everything on a single hope. Angela's phone buzzed with a text from Taemin. Dinner confirmed for tomorrow night. Spago, 8 p.m. Where's something that makes you feel powerful? You're going to need it. T. She almost laughed. These brothers and their dramatic flair. But as she got into the Uber back to her hotel, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was standing at a crossroads that would change her entire life. Choose wrong, and she'd be just another casualty in their family war. Choose right, and she'd have everything she'd ever dreamed of. The question was, which brother represented the right choice? Or was the right choice to walk away entirely? Beautiful people, I need your opinion right now. Is Gio genuine, or is he playing Angela? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because tomorrow night she's having dinner with Taemin, and trust me, what he's about to offer will make Jiho's proposal look like pocket change. Hit that subscribe button because this story is about to take a turn that will leave you absolutely speechless. The game is just beginning, and Angela Morrison is about to discover she's not the only one keeping secrets. Stay with me. Spago Beverly Hills was the kind of restaurant where celebrities ate and photographers waited outside hoping for a glimpse of someone famous. Angela walked through the entrance in a black dress she'd panic bought that afternoon at Nordstrom, spending more money than she'd ever spent on a single piece of clothing in her life. If Taemin wanted her to feel powerful, she was going to look the part even if her credit card was crying. He was already seated at a private table on the terrace, overlooking the city lights. He stood when he saw her, and Angela had to admit that all three brothers wore suits like they'd been born in them, but Taemin had an edge of confidence that made heads turn as she walked past. He looked like money, power, and danger wrapped in Tom Ford, and he knew it. Miss Morrison, he said, pulling out her chair personally instead of waiting for the server. You look stunning. That dress was worth every penny you spent on it this afternoon. Angela froze halfway to sitting. How did you? I have people who keep me informed, Taemin said smoothly, settling back into his own chair. You made a purchase at Nordstrom at 2:47 p.m. Black Armani dress, size 8, $1,200. You hesitated for 6 minutes before buying it, and you paid with a credit card that's currently carrying about $3,000 in balance. The intrusion felt like ice water down her spine. You had me followed? I had you protected, Taemin corrected, signaling for wine. Los Angeles can be dangerous for a woman alone, especially one who's suddenly become very valuable to certain parties. I wanted to make sure you were safe. That's not protection, that's surveillance. Angela's voice was tight with anger. And it's creepy as hell, Taemin. Is it? He leaned forward, his dark eyes intense. Or is it the level of attention to detail that made me CEO of a $3 billion company at 30? I need to know everything, Angela. Information is power, and I don't enter any negotiation without complete knowledge of all variables. I'm not a variable. I'm a person. You're both, Taemin said bluntly. And if we're going to work together, you need to understand that I don't play games with half measures. When I commit to something, I commit completely. That means knowing my partner inside and out. Your financial situation, your family obligations, your career aspirations, your fears, your weaknesses, your strengths. All of it. Angela should have stood up and walked out. The rational part of her brain was screaming at her to leave. But the part that had survived corporate politics and toxic work environments recognized something in Taemin's approach. He wasn't trying to charm her like Jiho had. He was being brutally honest about exactly who he was and what he wanted. Fine, she said, picking up the wine menu. Then let's play this game properly. What else do you know about me? Taemin smiled, and it was predatory. You grew up in Atlanta, East Point specifically. Your mother worked as a nurse, a house cleaner, and drove for Uber to put you through college. You have one sister, Jasmine, who's a teacher in Decatur with 2 kids and a husband who lost his job 6 months ago. You send your mother $800 every month even though you can barely afford it. You have $47,000 in student loans. You left your last agency job because your creative director took credit for your campaign that won a Clio award. You've been freelancing for 3 years and you're good, but you're also exhausted from constantly hustling for work. Should I continue? Angela's hands clenched under the table. That's enough. Is it? Tameen leaned back, studying her. Because I also know you volunteer at a literacy center every Tuesday evening. You donate to 3 different charities despite barely being able to afford groceries some months. You drive a car that's one breakdown away from dying completely. You're brilliant, talented, and severely undervalued by an industry that should be begging for your work. And you're here tonight because you're tired, Angela. Tired of struggling. Tired of being overlooked. Tired of watching less talented people succeed because they have connections and resources you don't. Every word landed like a punch because every word was true. Angela wanted to hate him for the invasion of privacy, but she couldn't deny the accuracy of his assessment. So, what's your offer? She asked coldly. Besides proving you're good at stalking? Not stalking. Research. Tameen pulled out a leather portfolio and slid it across the table. I'm offering you exactly what you need, not what you think you want. Jiho probably gave you some romantic speech about creative freedom and building something beautiful together. Hyun will probably offer you transparency and control. But I'm offering you power. Angela opened the portfolio. The first page made her breath catch. $10 million signing bonus? Just for agreeing to partner with me, Tameen confirmed. Paid immediately into an account of your choosing. No strings, no conditions. That money is yours whether you stay 5 years or 5 days. Nothing comes without strings. True. The string is that you're mine for the duration of our partnership. Exclusive. No working with my brothers, no playing us against each other, no divided loyalties. You choose me, you commit completely. Angela flipped through the pages. 20 million annual salary. 5% equity after 3 years. Chief Strategy Officer position if he won controlling interest. A personal staff of 50. Unlimited budget for any campaign she wanted to create. Offices in Los Angeles, Busan, and New York. A housing allowance of $20,000 monthly. This is insane, she whispered. This is what you're worth, Tameen corrected. But more importantly, this is what I need to win. Angela, I'm not going to lie to you and pretend this is about anything other than what it is. I need you to destroy my brother's chances of inheriting Kim Holdings. I need your talent, your vision, your ability to create campaigns that print money. And I'm willing to pay whatever it takes to secure that advantage. At least you're honest about using me as a weapon. Using you as a weapon? Tameen laughed. Angela, you're not a weapon. You're a nuclear bomb. And I'm offering to let you choose your own targets while I provide unlimited ammunition. The waiter appeared with their food, breaking the tension. Angela hadn't even noticed them ordering, but there were plates of beautifully prepared dishes in front of her. She picked at her food, her mind spinning. Why are you really doing this? She asked finally. The truth, Tameen. Not the corporate strategy answer. The real reason you want to win so badly. Tameen was quiet for a moment, swirling wine in his glass. When he spoke, his voice had lost some of its calculated edge. Because my father spent my entire life telling me I was the strongest of his sons. The most ruthless, the most strategic, the most willing to do what needed to be done. He groomed me for leadership from the time I could walk. And then he died and created a competition that makes me prove everything he supposedly already believed about me. That's not an answer. No, Tameen met her eyes. Then here's the answer. I want to win because losing means admitting my father was wrong about me. It means watching Jiho or Hyun take what should be mine. It means spending the rest of my life as the brother who failed. And I don't fail, Angela. Ever. What about your brothers? Don't you care about destroying your relationship with them? Our relationship was destroyed the moment Father's will was read, Tameen said flatly. Jiho lives in Fantasyland thinking we can all reconcile after this is over. Hyun believes we can remain professional colleagues. But I'm the only one being realistic. Only one of us can win, which means 2 of us lose. And losers either accept their place or spend their lives resenting the winner. There's no happy ending here, Angela. Only survival. The bleakness in his voice was startling. For all his confidence and calculated charm, Tameen sounded almost hollow. Like he'd already accepted that winning meant losing something vital, but he'd chosen victory anyway because it was all he knew how to do. If I partner with you, Angela said slowly, what happens to your brothers' careers? To the company they helped build. They'll remain in their positions as long as they're useful, Tameen said. If they're not useful, they'll be removed. That's business, Angela. Sentimental attachments are luxuries neither of us can afford. That's cold. That's honest. Would you prefer I lie and tell you I'll be merciful? That I'll find ways to keep them involved out of brotherly love? Jiho might sell you that fantasy. I won't. Angela pushed her plate away, her appetite gone. You realize you're basically asking me to help you destroy two men who've done nothing to me? Men who are also offering me opportunities. Men who would do the same to me if you chose them, Taemin countered. Don't let Jiho's artistic sensibility fool you, Angela. He's a Kim. When push comes to shove, he'll protect his interests. And Hyun? Hyun's the most dangerous of all three of us because people underestimate him. They see the quiet one, the analytical one, and they don't realize he's been 3 steps ahead the entire time. And what are you? Taemin smiled, and it was sharp as broken glass. I'm the one who tells you the truth even when it's ugly. I'm the one who won't pretend this is anything other than war. And I'm the one offering you enough money to never have to worry about anything again. Your mother's medical bills? Paid. Your sister's kids' college funds? Done. Your own financial security for life? Guaranteed. All I ask in return is that you help me win. Angela stood up abruptly. I need air. Take all the air you need, Taemin said calmly. But Angela? That offer expires in 48 hours. After that, I move on to alternative strategies, and you lose your chance at the biggest opportunity of your life. She walked to the terrace railing, gripping it hard enough that her knuckles went white. Below, Los Angeles sprawled in all its complicated glory, millions of people living their lives, unaware of the impossible choice being offered to a woman who'd spent her whole life just trying to survive. $10 million. Just for saying yes. Enough to change everything. Enough to ensure her family never struggled again. Enough to build the agency she'd always dreamed of after this partnership ended. But at what cost? Her integrity? Her soul? Her ability to look at herself in the mirror and recognize the woman staring back? Taemin appeared beside her, not touching her but close enough that she felt his presence like heat. I know what you're thinking, he said quietly. You're thinking this is too much, too fast, too ruthless. You're thinking you're a good person and good people don't make deals with devils. But Angela, let me tell you something about good people. They finish last. They struggle while bad people win. They sacrifice themselves for noble reasons and end up with nothing but moral superiority to keep them warm at night. Is that what you are? Angela asked, still staring at the city. A bad person? I'm a person who wins, Taemin said. And I'm offering you the chance to win too. Not just money, Angela. Power. Influence. The ability to create work that shapes entire industries. You could be the most important voice in luxury marketing globally. Or you could stay small, stay safe, stay moral, and watch from the sidelines while other people build empires. Angela turned to face him. And if I say no? Then you say no. I respect decisiveness, even when it's not the decision I want. Taemin's eyes held hers. But you won't say no. Because you didn't come to this dinner to turn down the offer. You came to see if you could stomach partnering with someone as ruthless as me. And the answer is yes, Angela. Because underneath that good person exterior, you're hungry. Ambitious. Willing to do what it takes to succeed. We're more alike than you want to admit. He wasn't wrong. And that terrified her more than anything else he'd said. Besties, I need you to breathe with me because this is heavy. Comment right now, is Taemin a villain or just brutally honest? Is Angela wrong for even considering his offer? Every assumption you have about this situation is about to be shattered. Hit the subscribe button and stay glued. The Kim Holdings Los Angeles office was located in a glass tower in Century City that probably cost more per square foot than Angela's entire apartment. She arrived at exactly 9 a.m., wearing the same Armani dress from last night because it was the only thing in her closet that felt armor-like enough for this meeting. The receptionist was expecting her, guiding her to a conference room on the 40th floor with views that made the Getty Center look modest. Hyun was already there, standing by the windows in a charcoal suit that was so perfectly tailored it looked painted on. He didn't turn immediately when she entered, and Angela had the distinct impression he was making her wait deliberately, letting her take in the view, the power, the sheer wealth represented by this office. Miss Morrison, he finally said, turning to face her. Thank you for coming. I know you must be exhausted from Jiho's sunset romance and Taemin's expensive dinner theater. Please sit. I promise this will be different. Angela sat, noting the stack of documents on the table between them. Different how? Different because I'm not going to seduce you with idealism or bully you with ruthlessness, Hyun said, sitting across from her with perfect posture. I'm going to give you something my brothers won't. The truth about what you're really walking into. He slid the first document across the table. It was a financial report, dense with numbers and projections. This is the actual state of Kim Holdings. Not the sanitized version we present to the board or the public. The real numbers. Angela scanned the pages, her stomach sinking with each line. You're hemorrhaging money. 8 million a month, Hyun confirmed. The European division that your campaign saved? It's a temporary bandage on a severed artery. We're drowning in debt from Taemin's failed expansion attempts. Our core customer base is aging out and we're failing to attract younger consumers. 3 of our flagship stores are underperforming so badly we'll have to close them by year's end. We have 18 months, maybe 24, before Kim Holdings collapses completely. Then why are you all fighting over it? Angela asked, genuinely confused. Why compete to inherit a sinking ship? Because it's our father's ship, Hyun said quietly. And because whoever inherits it also inherits 3 billion in assets that can be liquidated, redistributed, or transformed into something new. The company might be dying, but the wealth it represents is very real. He slid another document across. This is Jiho's contract proposal. The one he showed you last night at the Getty Center. Angela's eyes widened. How do you have this? Because Jiho's assistant is dating my junior analyst, Hyun said without emotion. And loyalty is expensive but purchasable. I know every detail of what Jiho offered you. 8-figure salary, 1% equity after 5 years, complete creative autonomy. It sounds generous until you realize that 1% of a dying company is worth nothing. And creative autonomy is meaningless when there's no budget to execute your vision. He pulled out another file. And this is Taemin's offer. 10 million signing bonus, 20 million annual salary, 5% equity after 3 years. You bugged his table at Spago, Angela said flatly. It wasn't a question. I have a standing arrangement with the restaurant's general manager, Hyun confirmed. Taemin's offer is the most financially generous, and he's not wrong about the money being life-changing. But Angela, do you know what happens to people who partner with Taemin? He opened his laptop and pulled up a series of articles. Headlines about former executives who'd worked with Taemin. Business partnerships that had ended in lawsuits. Companies that had merged with Kim Holdings only to be gutted and sold off piece by piece. Taemin doesn't build partnerships, Hyun said. He builds dependencies. He'll pay you spectacularly well, work you to exhaustion, take credit for your successes and blame you for any failures, and then discard you the moment you're no longer useful. Ask Jennifer Park, his former VP of marketing who had a nervous breakdown. Or David Chin, his business partner in Taiwan who's currently suing him for fraud. Or, I get it, Angela interrupted. Taemin is ruthless. You're not telling me anything he didn't already tell me himself. Did he tell you he's under investigation by the Korean Financial Services Commission for potential embezzlement? Hyun asked calmly. Or that he's been moving money through shell corporations in the Cayman Islands. Or that if he wins controlling interest in Kim Holdings, there's a strong possibility he'll strip the company for parts and leave everyone, including you, with nothing. Angela's blood ran cold. You're lying. I'm really not. Hyun pulled up official documents on his screen. Legal filings, financial investigations, emails between Taemin and his lawyers discussing strategies to hide assets. My brother is brilliant, but he's also desperate. And desperate men make catastrophic decisions. Angela stared at the evidence, her mind reeling. Why are you showing me this? Because I need you to understand what you're choosing between, Hyun said. Jiho is offering you a beautiful fantasy that can't survive reality. Taemin is offering you blood money from a man who might be in prison before the year is out. And I'm offering you something neither of them can provide, a real chance to build something sustainable. He slid his own contract across the table. Angela picked it up with trembling hands. 15 million signing bonus, Hyun began. But paid over 3 years, not immediately. 12 million annual salary, guaranteed for 7 years regardless of company performance. 7% equity that vests immediately, not years down the line. And this, he pointed to a specific clause. This is the part my brothers can't match. A seat on the board, effective immediately. Not if I win, not contingent on success. Now, you become a voting member of Kim Holdings' board of directors the moment you sign this contract. Angela read the clause twice. That's impossible. The board would never approve an outsider, especially not a Black American woman with no executive experience? Hyun finished. You're right. They wouldn't. Unless I use my leverage as COO to force it through. I have documentation on every board member's questionable decisions over the past 5 years. Insider trading, conflicts of interest, affairs, embezzlement. I've been collecting insurance for exactly this moment. You'd blackmail the board for me? Angela didn't know whether to be flattered or horrified. I'd blackmail the board for us, Hyun corrected. Because unlike my brothers, I understand that real power isn't about controlling everything yourself. It's about strategic alliances with people who have skills you lack. I'm excellent at operations, logistics, financial management. But I'm terrible at vision, at understanding what consumers want, at creating emotional connections through branding. That's your gift, Angela. And I need it. This is insane. All of this is insane. Is it? Hyun leaned forward, and for the first time, Angela saw something crack in his perfectly controlled exterior. Or is it the first honest offer you've received? Jiho wants to use you to feel better about himself, to prove he's not just the artistic brother who can't compete. Taemin wants to use you as a weapon to destroy us. But I want to use you as a partner, Angela. A real partner with real power who makes real decisions that affect the entire company. Why? Angela demanded. Why me? Why now? You've had a year to find partners, to build alliances. Why wait until I showed up with one viral campaign? Hyun was quiet for a long moment, his jaw working like he was deciding how much truth to reveal. Because I've been watching you, he said finally. Not just since the European campaign. I've been following your career for 2 years, Angela. Ever since you left Crimson Agency. Angela's heart stopped. What? Crimson Agency was developing a campaign for Kim Holdings 3 years ago. I was in New York for meetings and I sat in on one of their presentations. You weren't presenting, you were just in the room taking notes. But afterward, I saw the real presentation, the one you'd created that your creative director had stolen and presented as his own. It was brilliant. And I watched him take credit while you sat there silent. How did you? I have sources everywhere, Hyun said. And I made a note. Angela Morrison. Talented writer being exploited by corporate politics. So I watched your career. Watched you leave the agency. Watched you struggle to build a freelance business. Watched you create campaign after campaign that should have made you famous, but didn't because you lacked connections and capital. He pulled out a folder that was significantly thicker than the others. Inside were copies of every campaign Angela had created for the past 3 years. Every client brief, every draft, every final product. Her entire portfolio, documented in obsessive detail. You've been stalking me for 2 years? Angela's voice was barely a whisper. I've been waiting for the right moment to approach you, Hyun corrected. And that moment came when you completed the European campaign. Now my brothers know what I've known all along. You're exceptional. And whoever secures your partnership wins everything. Angela stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. This is too much. You're all too much. Jiho with his romantic idealism, Taemin with his brutal honesty, and you with your... She gestured at the files, the evidence, the contracts, your calculated obsession. I'm a copywriter. Just a writer. I'm not worth all this drama. You keep saying that, Hyun said, standing as well but maintaining distance. You keep diminishing yourself, Angela. Why? Because it's true. I wrote some good copy. That's it. I'm not a business genius or a marketing messiah or whatever you all think I am. No, Hyun agreed. You're something more valuable. You're an outsider with insider talent. You understand luxury branding without being corrupted by luxury lifestyle. You see our company clearly because you have no emotional attachment to our family drama. You're the perfect catalyst, Angela. The variable that can tip the balance. I don't want to be a variable, Angela said, her voice breaking slightly. I don't want to be a weapon or a catalyst or a prize in your family war. I want to be a person who writes copy and gets paid fairly for it. Why isn't that enough? Because you're lying to yourself, Hyun said, and his voice was gentle now, almost kind. If that was really all you wanted, you would have declined our calls, ignored our emails, stayed in Los Angeles living your small, safe life. But you didn't. You came to these meetings. You listened to our offers. You're still here, Angela, even after everything you've learned. Why? Angela opened her mouth to respond and found she had no answer. Because he was right. She could have walked away a dozen times. Could have blocked all their numbers, declined all the offers, gone back to her comfortable obscurity. But she hadn't. I want more, she admitted, the words tasting like both freedom and failure. I want to stop struggling. I want to create work that matters. I want to be valued and compensated properly. I want to stop being overlooked and underestimated. I want. She paused, hating herself for the next words. I want power. Real power. The kind that means I never have to watch someone steal my work again. Then take it, Hyun said simply. Choose me, Angela. Not because I'm the best brother or the most honest or the most charming. Choose me because I'm offering you what you actually want instead of what you think you should want. Jiho is selling you dreams. Taemin is selling you money. I'm selling you power. He picked up a pen from the table and held it out to her. Sign the contract. Join the board. Become a player instead of a piece. And let's burn this entire game down together and build something better from the ashes. Angela looked at the pen, at the contract, at Hyun's carefully controlled expression that was hiding something deeper, something almost desperate beneath the ice. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Please tell me you've made a decision and are coming home. But she hadn't made a decision. And 3 offers sat in front of her like paths in a dark forest, each one leading somewhere she couldn't quite see. Jiho's idealism. Taemin's ruthlessness. Hyun's calculated power play. Which one would save her? And which one would destroy her? Besties. Wait, I need your gut reaction. Team Jiho? Team Taemin? Team Hyun? Or Team Angela should run away and never look back? Drop the comment now because what happens next is going to absolutely shatter everything you think you know about this strange love story. Angela didn't sign Hyun's contract. She didn't sign any of them. Instead, she walked out of that Century City office, got in her rental car, and drove. She drove through Los Angeles traffic without destination, her mind spinning with numbers and offers and 3 identical faces that haunted her thoughts in very different ways. She ended up at Santa Monica Pier as the sun started its descent toward the Pacific. The ocean stretched endlessly before her, and she sat on a bench watching families and couples walk by, living normal lives that didn't involve billion-dollar inheritances and corporate warfare. Her phone rang. Jiho's name flashed on the screen. She almost didn't answer, but something made her press accept. Angela. His voice was warm, concerned. Are you okay? My assistant said you left Hyun's office looking upset. Your assistant was spying on me at Hyun's office? My assistant works in the same building and saw you in the lobby, Jiho corrected gently. There's a difference. Are you okay? No, Angela said honestly. I'm not okay. I'm sitting at Santa Monica Pier having an existential crisis about whether I'm about to make the biggest mistake of my life or miss the biggest opportunity. Jiho was quiet for a moment. Which pier? The main one or... The main one. Why? Stay there. Please. Give me 40 minutes. He hung up before she could protest. 37 minutes later, Jiho appeared on the pier, slightly out of breath like he'd been running. He'd changed from his business suit into jeans and a simple black sweater that made him look younger, more approachable, achingly human instead of corporate. You didn't have to come, Angela said, but her heart did a small flip that she absolutely refused to acknowledge. Yes, I did. Jiho sat beside her on the bench, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. Because I've been where you're right now. Overwhelmed by choices, terrified of making the wrong decision, wondering if you can trust anyone, including yourself. When my father told us about the competition, Jiho said, staring out at the ocean. I had to choose between fighting my brothers or losing everything. Between maintaining my integrity or playing dirty to win. Between being the person I wanted to be or becoming the person the situation demanded. What did you choose? I'm still choosing, Jiho admitted. Every day. Every meeting. Every decision. And Angela, I'll be honest with you. Some days I choose wrong. Some days I let ambition override compassion. Some days I'm not the man I want to be. Angela looked at him, really looked at him. In the fading sunlight, without the corporate armor, Jiho looked vulnerable. Real. Like a man carrying weight he wasn't sure he could bear. "Why did you really come here?" she asked quietly. Jiho turned to face her, and the intensity in his eyes made her breath catch. "Because after you left the Getty Center last night, I couldn't stop thinking about what I said to you. About using you to heal my family. About building a partnership. And I realized I wasn't being completely honest." "About what?" "About why I want you to choose me." Jiho's hand moved closer to hers on the bench, not quite touching, but close enough that she felt the heat. "Yes, I need your talent. Yes, you're the key to saving the company. Yes, partnering with you gives me the best chance of winning my father's competition. But Angela, that's not why I'm sitting on this pier right now." "Then why are you here?" "Because when you walked away at the Getty Center, I felt something I haven't felt in over a year. Hope. Not about the company or the inheritance or beating my brothers. Hope that maybe I haven't completely destroyed my ability to connect with someone real. Someone who sees me, not just Kim Jiho, the chief creative officer, but just Jiho." Angela's heart was hammering now. "Jiho. Let me finish," he said softly. "Please. I need to say this even if it costs me everything." He took a breath. "I'm falling for you, Angela. Maybe I've been falling since I first read your copy and recognized a kindred spirit. Someone who creates beauty from strategy, who understands that the best marketing isn't manipulation, it's truth wrapped in elegance. But definitely since the Getty Center, when you stood there challenging me, refusing to be impressed by money or views or carefully crafted speeches. You're brilliant and fierce, and you don't take anyone's bullshit, including mine. And I'm terrified because this is the worst possible timing and the worst possible situation, but I can't not tell you." Angela couldn't breathe. This wasn't supposed to happen. This was supposed to be business, just business, a transaction between professionals. But the way Jiho was looking at her, the raw honesty in his voice, the vulnerability in admitting feelings in a situation where feelings were dangerous. "You can't mean that," she whispered. "You barely know me." "I know you better than you think," Jiho said. "I know you send money to your mother even when you can't afford groceries. I know you volunteer with kids because you believe in giving back. I know you turned down 3 corporate offers in the past year because the companies wanted to compromise your integrity. I know you're scared right now, not of my brothers or their offers, but of wanting this too much. Of letting yourself hope for something bigger than survival." "How do you know all that?" "Because I've been paying attention," Jiho said simply. "Not with investigators or surveillance like my brothers. Just watching you. The way you talk about your work, the passion in your emails about the European campaign, the careful way you craft every sentence like words matter more than algorithms. I've been paying attention because I wanted to understand you, not manipulate you." Angela felt tears burning her eyes. "This is a terrible idea. You know that, right? You're competing with your brothers for a company. I'm supposed to be a business decision. We can't." "Can't what?" Jiho's hand finally touched hers, his fingers intertwining with hers carefully, like she was something precious that might break. "Can't feel something real in the middle of corporate warfare? Can't want something more than money and power? Can't imagine that maybe, just maybe, the universe put you in my path for more than just saving a dying company. That's fantasy, Jiho. That's the romantic idealism Taemin warned me about." Maybe Jiho agreed. Or maybe Taemin is so cynical, he can't recognize authentic connection when it's right in front of him. "Angela, I'm not asking you to choose me for the company. I'm asking you to give us a chance. Real us. Not CEO and consultant, but Jiho and Angela. 2 people who could be something extraordinary together if we're brave enough to try. And if it doesn't work?" Angela's voice cracked. "If I choose you and we fail, both professionally and personally, I lose everything." "Then we lose everything together," Jiho said fiercely. "But at least we'll lose it honestly, having tried for something real instead of settling for a business transaction. Angela, I know you've been hurt before. I know your creative director betrayed your trust. I know corporate America has taught you that relationships are strategic and feelings are weaknesses. But what if they're wrong? What if the bravest thing we can do is choose each other knowing we might fail?" Angela looked at their intertwined hands, at the ocean beyond, at Jiho's face in the dimming light. He looked terrified and hopeful and so achingly sincere that something in her chest cracked open. "I don't know if I can trust this," she whispered. "I don't know if I can trust you. What if this is just another manipulation? What if you're just better at making it feel real than your brothers are?" Jiho raised her hand to his lips and kissed her knuckles gently, and the tenderness of the gesture made her want to cry. "Then test me," he said softly. "Don't choose me right now. Don't sign anything. Just give me time to prove I mean what I'm saying. Let me take you to dinner with no business talk. Let me show you Busan the way I see it, not as a CEO, but as someone who loves his city. Let me prove that what I feel for you has nothing to do with contracts and everything to do with you." "That's not fair," Angela said, but she didn't pull her hand away. "You're making this impossible." "Good," Jiho smiled, and it transformed his face from handsome to devastating. "Because nothing worth having should be easy. And Angela, you are absolutely worth the impossibility." They sat there as the sun finally disappeared below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. His hand warm in hers, the ocean breeze carrying salt and possibilities, and Angela felt herself wavering on the edge of something that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. Her phone buzzed. A text from Taemin. "I know you're with Jiho. Remember, romance is expensive. Make sure you're getting paid properly for it. Offer still stands. 48 hours. T." She showed Jiho the text. He read it and laughed, but there was bitterness underneath. He's not wrong. I can't compete with his money or Hyun's power plays. All I have is this: honesty, hope, the promise that I'll see you as a person first and a business asset never. "That's not nothing," Angela said quietly. "It's not enough though, is it?" Jiho's thumb traced circles on her palm, sending shivers up her arm. "Not when you have student loans and family obligations and practical reasons to choose financial security over romantic possibility. Stop telling me what I should choose. Then tell me what you want, Angela. Not what's smart or practical or safe. What do you actually want?" Angela looked at him, at this beautiful, idealistic man who was offering her something she'd convinced herself didn't exist. Real connection in a world of transactions. Authentic feeling in a situation designed to be purely strategic. The possibility that maybe, just maybe, she could have both professional success and personal happiness. "I want to believe you," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I want to believe this is real and not just another game. But Jiho, I'm scared. I'm terrified of being wrong about you. Of choosing heart over head and losing everything." "Then let's be terrified together," Jiho said, leaning closer until his forehead rested against hers. "Let's take the risk together. Let's build something real in the middle of all this corporate chaos. And if we fail, at least we'll fail honestly." His lips were inches from hers. Angela could feel his breath, warm and steady, could smell his cologne mixed with ocean air, could feel her resolve crumbling like sand against waves. "This is a terrible idea," she breathed. "Terrible ideas are my specialty," Jiho murmured. And then he kissed her. It wasn't aggressive or desperate. It was soft, questioning, giving her every opportunity to pull away. But Angela didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned in, her free hand coming up to cup his face, and kissed him back with all the confusion and want and terrified hope she'd been suppressing. The pier disappeared. The ocean disappeared. The competition and the offers and the impossible choices all faded until there was just this: Jiho's lips on hers, his hand cradling her face like she was something precious, her heart hammering against her ribs like it was trying to escape the cage she'd built around it. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Jiho rested his forehead against hers again. "Tell me you felt that," he whispered. "Tell me I'm not crazy for thinking this could be real." "You're crazy," Angela said, but she was smiling. "We're both crazy. This is the worst timing, the worst situation, the worst. Best kiss of my life," Jiho finished. "Angela Morrison, you're going to destroy me, and I'm going to let you." And standing there on Santa Monica Pier with the stars beginning to appear above and the ocean whispering below, Angela realized something terrifying. She was falling too. Falling for a man who was offering her everything except guaranteed safety. Falling into a situation that could end in heartbreak and financial ruin. Falling despite every logical reason to run. "I haven't made my decision yet," she said, needing him to understand. "About the partnership, about choosing between you and your brothers. I need time. Take all the time you need, Jiho said, kissing her forehead gently. I'm not going anywhere. Whatever you decide, even if you choose Taemin or Hyun or walk away completely, I'm still going to feel what I feel for you. This isn't contingent on business, Angela. This is real. But as they walked back to their cars hand in hand, Angela's mind was already spinning. Because now the choice wasn't just about money or power or professional opportunity. Now it was about her heart. And that made everything infinitely more complicated. Okay, besties, I need to know what you're thinking right now. Are you melting? Are you suspicious? Are you screaming Angela run or Angela marry him? Drop those comments because tomorrow everything changes. Something happens that forces Angela to make her choice, and trust me, what's coming next will leave you absolutely shook. Hit that subscribe button because the final twist is approaching and it's going to destroy everything you think you know about these brothers. Angela woke up the next morning to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Her hotel room felt suffocating as she scrolled through the notifications, her heart sinking with each one. The first call was from Marcus at 6:47 a.m. Angela, turn on the news. Now. She grabbed the remote with shaking hands and flipped to a financial news channel. The headline made her blood run cold. Breaking. Kim Holdings CEO Kim Taemin arrested in Seoul for embezzlement and fraud. Company stock plummets 34% in early trading. The screen showed footage of Taemin being led out of the Busan headquarters in handcuffs, his face perfectly blank despite the camera flashes exploding around him. The reporter's voice droned on about multi-million-dollar schemes, falsified documents, offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. Everything Hyun had warned her about, now playing out in real time on international television. Her phone rang. Hyun. I'm guessing you've seen the news, he said without preamble when she answered. Did you do this? Angela's voice was sharp. Did you turn him in? I gave the Financial Services Commission the evidence they needed to build their case, Hyun said calmly. Evidence that's been sitting in their files for 6 months. I simply expedited the timeline. You destroyed your own brother. I saved the company, Hyun corrected. Taemin was going to strip Kim Holdings for parts the moment he inherited it. This way, he's removed from the competition, the board can implement damage control, and we have a chance at actual survival. It's brutal, but it's necessary. You're insane. You're all insane. Angela ended the call, her hands trembling. Another call immediately came through. Jito. Angela, please tell me you didn't sign anything with Taemin. His voice was ragged with stress. Please tell me you're not connected to his deals in any way. I didn't sign anything. I haven't signed anything with any of you. Thank God. Jiho's relief was palpable. Angela, where are you? I'm in LA. I can be at your hotel in 15 minutes. We need to talk about what happens next. What happens next? Angela laughed, but it was hollow. Your brother just got arrested for fraud on international television, and you want to talk about what happens next? My brother made choices that led to consequences, Jiho said quietly. But Angela, this changes everything. With Taemin out of the competition, it's down to Hyun and me. And I need to know if you're still considering partnering with either of us, or if this whole situation has scared you off completely. Before Angela could answer, there was pounding on her hotel room door. Aggressive, urgent pounding that made her jump. Angela, it's Hyun. Open the door. Now. She looked at her phone, at Jiho's name still on the screen. Hyun's here, she whispered. Don't open that door, Jiho said immediately. Angela, I'm serious. Hyun is dangerous when he's cornered, and he just made a massive power play. Don't let him in. But the pounding continued, and Angela heard Hyun's voice, cold and commanding. Angela Morrison, I know you're in there. I also know you were with Jiho last night at Santa Monica Pier. I have photographs, video, audio recordings of your conversation and your kiss. Open this door, or I start sending those recordings to every marketing publication and business journal in America. Your reputation will be destroyed before lunch. Angela's blood turned to ice. You're bluffing. Try me, Hyun said through the door. You have 30 seconds. Angela, don't. Jiho's voice was frantic on the phone. But Angela was already moving, unlocking the door with fury overriding fear. She yanked it open to find Hyun standing there in another perfect suit, holding a tablet that showed a crystal-clear photo of her and Jiho kissing on the pier. "Get in here before I scream for security," she hissed. Hyun walked in with the calm of a man who knew he held all the cards. Angela slammed the door behind him and held up her phone where Jiho was still on the line. "You're on speaker. Say whatever you came to say." "Jiho, still trying to play hero?" Hyun's voice was ice. "How noble. How predictable. How utterly stupid." "You had her followed." Jiho's voice came through the speaker, shaking with rage. "You had your own brother surveilled like a criminal." "I had a potential business partner surveilled because I needed to know if her judgment was compromised," Hyun corrected. "And guess what I discovered? My brother is trying to seduce her into choosing him. Romance as strategy." "How creative, Jiho. Father would be so disappointed that you're using the one tactic he considered beneath us." "It's not strategy," Jiho shot back. "What I feel for Angela is real." "Is it?" Hyun turned to Angela, his dark eyes unreadable. "Or is it convenient? You're the key to his inheritance, Angela. Of course he has feelings for you. Those feelings are worth $3 billion. "You don't know what you're talking about," Angela said, but doubt was creeping in like poison. Everything Hyun was saying echoed her own fears from last night. "Don't I?" Hyun pulled up another video on his tablet. This one showed Jiho from 3 weeks ago, before Angela had even completed the European campaign. He was in what looked like his office, talking to someone off camera. "I need to secure the Morrison woman at any cost." Jiho's voice came through clearly. "If that means making her fall for me, fine. I'll do whatever it takes. She's the key to everything." Angela felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. No, that's out of context. That's Jiho 3 weeks ago, planning his strategy," Hyun said relentlessly. "Before the sunset romance, before the passionate speeches, before the kiss that you thought was spontaneous and real. It was planned, Angela. All of it. He's been playing you from the beginning." "Hyun, you bastard, that conversation was about securing a business partnership." Jiho's voice was desperate now. "I was talking to my lawyer about contract terms." "You're twisting my words." "Am I?" Hyun asked calmly. "Then why does it sound so damning? Why does it sound exactly like what it is, a calculated plan to manipulate Angela's emotions to secure her partnership?" Angela's mind was spinning. The video, the timing, the way Jiho had shown up at the pier so perfectly, so romantically. What if it had all been staged? What if she'd been an idiot who let herself fall for a beautiful lie? "Angela, please," Jiho's voice was breaking. "Don't believe him. He's manipulating you. That video is edited. The context is wrong. I would never." "You would never what?" Hyun interrupted. "Use someone to get what you want?" "Brother, we both know that's exactly what you do. You're just better at making it look noble than Taemin was." Angela's phone buzzed with an incoming call. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Miss Morrison." The voice was clipped, professional. "This is Attorney James Park. We spoke briefly via text. I'm calling because what's happening in your hotel room right now is being recorded by Mr. Kim Hyun's security team, and you need to know that anything you say or agree to in the next 10 minutes will be used against you in legal proceedings." "What?" Angela looked at Hyun, who had the grace to look only slightly uncomfortable. "Mr. Kim Hyun has recording devices in his suit jacket," the attorney continued. "He's attempting to get you to admit to a romantic relationship with Mr. Kim Jiho, which he will then use to invalidate any contract you might sign with Jiho on grounds of conflict of interest and emotional manipulation. Conversely, if you deny the relationship, he'll use the recordings as evidence that you're dishonest and can't be trusted as a board member. It's a trap, Miss Morrison. Everything he's saying to you right now is designed to force you into a no-win position." Angela's eyes went to Hyun's jacket. "Is that true?" Hyun's expression didn't change. "I protect my interests. You're recording me right now?" Angela's voice rose. "In my hotel room? Without my consent." "California is a two-party consent state," the attorney said on the phone. "Any recordings made without your explicit permission are inadmissible in court and potentially illegal. I'm calling to inform you of your rights and to offer my services as your attorney if you choose to pursue legal action against either Mr. Kim Hyun or Mr. Kim Jiho for their respective violations of your privacy and autonomy." "Who are you really?" Angela demanded. "Why are you helping me?" I'm the attorney for the Kim estate, James Park said. And I'm helping you because someone needs to. These three brothers have been at war for over a year, and they're about to destroy an innocent woman in the crossfire. That wasn't what their father intended when he created this competition. Then what did he intend? Angela was shaking now, from anger or fear or overwhelming confusion. He intended to find out which of his sons had the integrity to lead, the attorney said quietly. And watching them destroy each other and manipulate you? None of them deserve the inheritance. None of them deserve Kim Holdings. And that's exactly why I'm calling with an alternative proposal. What proposal? Meet me in 30 minutes. Century City, same building where you met Hyun yesterday, but different floor. 45th level, conference room C. Come alone. Don't tell any of the brothers you're coming. And Miss Morrison? Bring those contracts they all gave you. Every single one. The call ended. Angela looked between her phone where Jiho was still pleading his case and Hyun who stood in her hotel room with his recording devices and his manipulations and his cold, calculated stare. Both of you need to leave, she said quietly. Angela, Jiho started. No. Her voice cracked like a whip. Both of you out. I'm done being a prize to fight over. I'm done being manipulated and recorded and surveilled and seduced for strategy. Get out of my hotel room and don't contact me again until I decide if I ever want to speak to any of you again. You're making a mistake, Hyun said calmly, but he was already moving toward the door. I'm the only one who's been honest with you. You've been recording me without my consent. Angela shouted. That's not honesty, that's surveillance. Hyun paused at the door. I'll see you at the board meeting next week, Miss Morrison. Whether you like it or not, you're already part of this. Walking away isn't an option anymore. He left. Angela ended the call with Jiho despite his protests, then blocked all three brothers' numbers. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold her phone. What the hell had she walked into? And more importantly, what was attorney James Park about to offer her that required such secrecy? She had 28 minutes to decide if she was brave enough to find out. 28 minutes to decide if she was walking into another trap or toward her only real chance at controlling her own destiny. Angela looked at herself in the hotel mirror. Same woman as yesterday, but the exhaustion in her eyes told a different story. She was tired of being played, tired of not knowing who to trust. Maybe it was time to stop trusting anyone and start trusting herself. She grabbed her bag, stuffed all three contracts inside, and headed for the door. Whatever attorney James Park had to say, it couldn't possibly be crazier than what she'd already experienced. Could it? Conference room C on the 45th floor was smaller than Angela expected, intimate almost, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Los Angeles skyline. Attorney James Park stood as she entered, a man in his 60s with kind eyes and the bearing of someone who'd seen too much corporate warfare. Miss Morrison, thank you for coming. He gestured to a chair. I know you have no reason to trust me, but I promise, what I'm about to tell you will change everything. Angela sat, her bag full of contracts heavy on her lap. I'm listening. James Park pulled out a file, thick with documents. Kim Dae-jung was my client for 37 years. I drafted his will, watched him build his empire, and watched him love his three sons more than anything in this world. What I'm about to show you is sealed, to be opened only under specific circumstances. What circumstances? If all three brothers proved themselves unworthy of the inheritance through actions that violated the core values Kim Dae-jung held sacred, integrity, respect, and genuine care for others. James opened the file. Taemin's arrest for embezzlement triggered the first condition. Hyun's illegal surveillance and manipulation triggered the second. And Jiho's. He paused, pulling out a document that made Angela's stomach clench. It was a contract. Between Jiho and a private investigator, dated 4 weeks ago, before the European campaign had even been completed. The services listed made her feel sick. Complete background investigation of Angela Morrison. Psychological profile. Relationship history. Vulnerability assessment. Recommended approach strategies for romantic engagement. No, Angela whispered. No, he said it was real. He said. He lied, James said gently. Or more accurately, he convinced himself his calculated approach became real feelings. But Miss Morrison, the planning was there from the beginning. Jiho identified you as both the business solution and his personal weakness, his tendency toward romantic idealism. So he weaponized his own nature, turned his genuine capacity for feeling into strategy. Angela felt tears burning her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. So none of it was real. None of them actually cared about me as a person. That's not entirely true, James said, and pulled out another document. This one was handwritten in Korean with an English translation attached. This is a letter Kim Dae-jung wrote to be given to you specifically, Miss Morrison, if you ever became involved in his son's competition. Angela took the letter with trembling hands and read, "To the woman my sons are fighting over. If you are reading this, it means my boys have failed the test I set for them. They have chosen ambition over integrity, strategy over humanity, winning over worthiness. I am deeply sorry you have been caught in their war. I created this competition not to destroy my sons, but to reveal their true characters under pressure. I hoped they would choose collaboration over competition, would value relationships over victory, would remember that a company is nothing without the people who build it. They have failed. And in their failure, they have hurt you. I cannot undo the pain they have caused. But I can offer you something they never could, a real choice, free from manipulation. If you accept, I am offering you controlling interest in Kim Holdings. 51%. Not as anyone's partner, not as a prize to be won, but as the rightful inheritor based on merit alone. Your European campaign showed more understanding of my company's soul in 3 weeks than my sons have shown in a year of fighting over its corpse. You see Kim Holdings as I built it, a brand that combines Korean excellence with global vision, that honors tradition while embracing innovation, that values people over profit. The board will fight this. My sons will contest it. You will face legal battles and corporate warfare. But if you accept, you will have my estate's full resources, my legal team, and my personal fortune to back you. More importantly, you will have the freedom to build something real. To restore Kim Holdings to glory, not for an inheritance or a competition, but because it deserves to be saved by someone who actually cares about the work itself. The choice is yours, Miss Morrison. Take my company and build an empire. Or walk away and let it die with my son's failures. Asterisk. Choose wisely. Choose freely. And know that whatever you decide, you owe my boys nothing. With respect and hope. Kim Dae-jung. Angela read the letter 3 times, her mind reeling. This is insane. I'm a copywriter. I can't run a $3 billion company. You can hire people to run the operational aspects, James said. But the vision, the brand identity, the soul of Kim Holdings? That requires someone who understands luxury isn't about exclusivity, it's about expression. Someone who can write copy that makes people feel seen. That's you, Miss Morrison. The brothers will destroy me. They'll fight this with everything they have. They will, James agreed. Especially when they realize the additional terms of their father's sealed will. If you accept the inheritance, all 3 brothers are removed from executive positions immediately. They retain their equity as shareholders, but they have no operational control. The competition is over, and none of them won. Angela stood up and walked to the window, looking out over Los Angeles. Behind her lay a life of freelance hustle and financial stress. Before her, an empire and everything that came with it, power, wealth, and endless complications. Her phone buzzed. She'd unblocked the numbers during the drive over, unable to completely cut herself off. 3 messages, arriving simultaneously. Taemin, from prison. I know you're meeting with the attorney. Don't be stupid. You're not equipped for this world. Walk away while you still can. Hyun, whatever he's offering you is a trap. My father's final manipulation from beyond the grave. Choose me, Angela. Let me protect you from this. Jiho, I'm sorry. For everything. The investigation, the strategy, all of it. But somewhere in the calculation, I fell for Real. Please believe that. Please choose us. Choose me. Angela looked at the 3 messages, 3 different manipulations disguised as concern. Even now, even after everything, they were still playing the game. What happens if I refuse? She asked James. If I walk away completely? Kim Holdings gets sold to the highest bidder. The brothers split the proceeds. They go their separate ways, probably never speaking again. And a legacy that took 40 years to build dies in 18 months. And if I accept? You become the most powerful woman in Asian luxury marketing. You face legal battles, corporate sabotage, and 3 very angry brothers. But you also get to build something extraordinary. Something real. Something that matters. Angela turned back to face James Park. I need to do something first. Before I give you my answer. 20 minutes later, Angela stood in the lobby of the building, watching 3 identical men stride through the entrance from different directions. They saw her simultaneously and froze, then saw each other, and their expressions hardened. Angela, all 3 started. No, she cut them off. You don't get to talk yet. I get to talk, and you get to listen. They stood there, 3 billionaires in expensive suits, and for the first time since this whole situation started, Angela felt like the one with power. I know about the sealed will, she said quietly. I know your father is offering me the company. Offering me everything you've been destroying each other to win. The shock on their faces was almost comical. Hyun recovered first. You can't possibly be considering. I said you don't get to talk. Angela's voice was steel. For once in your privileged lives, you're going to listen to someone tell you the truth about yourselves. She turned to Taemin first, though he was appearing via video call on Hyun's phone, his lawyer having arranged the connection from prison. Taemin, you're brilliant and strategic, but you're also a criminal who embezzled millions and was willing to destroy lives to cover it up. You never saw me as a person. I was always just a means to an end. Taemin's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. She turned to Hyun. You're intelligent and efficient, but you're also controlling to the point of pathology. You had me surveilled, recorded, investigated. You collected my vulnerabilities like weapons. You don't want a partner, Hyun. You want an asset you can manage and control. Hyun's expression was carved from ice, but she saw his hands clench. Finally, she turned to Jiho. This one hurt the most because she'd wanted so badly to believe him. And you, Jiho. You're passionate and creative, and you almost made me believe it was real. But you hired investigators to profile me. You strategized how to make me fall for you. And even if feelings developed later, the foundation was manipulation. You turned yourself into what you thought I wanted instead of just being honest from the start. Jiho's face crumpled. Angela, please. I know I made mistakes, but what I feel now is real. I love you. Do you? Angela asked softly. Or do you love the idea of me? The woman who could save your company and heal your family? Because, Jiho, you don't even know me. Not really. You know the version of me you investigated and the version I performed for your cameras. But the real me? The woman who's scared and ambitious and complicated and flawed? I don't think you've ever actually seen her. Tears were streaming down Jiho's face now, and Angela felt her own eyes burning. I see you, he whispered. I see all of you, and I love all of you. Then prove it, Angela said. Not with contracts or romantic gestures or grand declarations. Prove it by letting me go. Prove it by supporting my decision even if it doesn't benefit you. Prove you love me more than you love winning. She pulled out the letter from her bag and showed it to all 3 of them. Watched their faces as they read their father's final judgment of their characters. Watched hope die in Hyun's eyes, rage spark in Taemin's, and something like understanding dawn in Jiho's. I'm taking it, Angela said quietly. I'm accepting your father's offer. I'm taking controlling interest in Kim Holdings, and I'm removing all 3 of you from executive positions. The competition is over. And none of you won. Angela, you can't, Hyun started. I can and I am. But here's what I'm offering you instead. She pulled out her own document, one she'd spent the last 20 minutes drafting with James's help. You all keep your equity. You all remain shareholders. And Jiho, I'm offering you one position, creative consultant. No executive authority, no operational control. You report to me, work on projects I assign, and prove every single day that you value the work more than the power. Why? Jiho's voice broke on the word. Because despite everything, I believe you actually do have vision, Angela said. And because out of your 3 brothers, you're the only one who showed even a glimpse of genuine care for something other than winning. It's not enough for a partnership, Jiho. But it's enough for a chance to prove you can be better than your worst decisions. She turned to the other 2. Taemin, you're facing prison time. Use it to figure out who you are without the company. And Hyun, you're brilliant at operations, but you need to learn that not everything can be controlled. Both of you are welcome to consult for Kim Holdings after you've done the work of becoming men your father would be proud of. This is insane, Hyun said flatly. The board will never accept you. The board doesn't have a choice. Your father's will is ironclad. But Hyun? I'm going to give you some advice your father clearly never did. Power isn't about control. It's about trust. And you've never trusted anyone in your life. Angela picked up her bag. I'm holding a press conference tomorrow at noon to announce the transition. You're all welcome to attend or not. Your choice. She started to walk away, then paused and turned back to Jiho, who was still standing there looking shattered. And Jiho? If you really do love me, prove it by becoming someone worthy of that love. Not through grand gestures, but through genuine change. Become the man you pretended to be on that pier. Show me that person is real and not just strategy. And maybe someday, when this is all settled and we're not on opposite sides of a corporate war, maybe we can start over. As real people with real honesty. How long? Jiho asked desperately. How long do I have to wait? As long as it takes for you to mean it, Angela said softly. Then she walked out of the building, leaving three brothers standing in the lobby, their father's empire slipping through their fingers into the hands of the woman they'd all underestimated. 6 months later, Angela Morrison stood in the Kim Holdings flagship store in Busan, watching models showcase the new collection she'd helped design. The campaign had been Jiho's concept. He'd been working his way back into her trust slowly, painfully honestly. No manipulation, no strategy. Just genuine work and genuine change. Hyun had taken a position with a non-profit, learning to build systems that helped people instead of controlled them. Taemin was serving his sentence and had started writing letters of apology to everyone he'd hurt, including her. And Angela? Angela was building an empire that honored tradition while creating something new. A company where creativity and integrity weren't opposites. Where success didn't require destroying others. Her phone buzzed. A text from Jiho. The campaign is beautiful. You're beautiful. Still waiting, still changing, still hoping. Jay. Angela smiled and typed back. Keep going. You're getting closer. She wasn't ready yet. Maybe she never would be. But for the first time in her life, Angela Morrison had exactly what she'd always wanted. Power, security, and the freedom to choose her own path. And if that path eventually led back to a man who'd learned to love honestly instead of strategically, well, that was a choice she'd make when she was ready. On her own terms. In her own time. The way it should have been from the beginning. So beautiful people, what did you think? Did Angela make the right choice? Should she give Jiho another chance or move on completely? Drop your comments and let me know. Hit that subscribe button because I have so many more stories like this coming. Stories about strong women taking power, about toxic families getting their karma, about love that's worth the wait. Share this with someone who needs to hear that you don't have to choose between your heart and your ambition. You can have both on your terms. Thank you for being here, for writing this journey with me, for letting me tell you stories that matter. Remember, you are a prize to be won. You are not a weapon to be used. You're the main character of your own story, and you get to write your ending. Stay fierce, stay powerful, and never let anyone dim your light. Until next time, stay jiggy besties.